is, I'm pretty sure you want to know, what do I need to get in the final to pass? What do I need to get in the final to get a 3.0? Or for that matter, a 4.0. So go to your report and find your percentage grade. So let's say it was 91%, just for argument's sake. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how you calculate what you need to get the grades we mentioned. First thing is you just take 91 and multiply it by 7. And I'll do that right now. 91 times 7. And this number, this 637, is how many points you have got out of 700. And I call that guy your raw score. That's the number that's going to be important for what's about to happen. So I'll just write it down here at the side. Oops, try that again. Now, you want to pass this class, it's a 2.0. A 2.0 is 750 points. So you take your raw score and take it away from this guy, and it's 113 points. And you need to get 113 out of the 300 in your final. So that's how you figure out how you get a 2.0, right? So you get your raw score and you take it away from 750, and whatever that number is, that's what you need to get. So what's that? It's about 37%, right? Now, if you move up the food scale, let's suppose that you had as your target 3.0. That corresponds to 850 points. And if you take this away from that, it's 213 out of 300, which is about 71%. And for some of you, maybe your goal is to get a 4.0. Well, a 4.0, you need to get 950 in total. And if you take that away from that, this particular person is just never going to get a 4.0. Right? There's no way to get 313 in a final that's worth 300 points. Are we comfortable about how you can figure out what you need to do in your 300-point final to pass 2.0, or to get a 3, or to get a 4? Every 10 points that you get will move this up a 0.1. So let's suppose that you got 223 in the final. That would be a 3.1. 253 would be a 3.4. Right? So that's it. Any questions?
How weighted is the final? Like, how much of our grade is it worth?
It's worth 300 points. 30% of your grade. Okay. Now, your final is going to have a kind of change to it. And one of the reasons, it's not a total change, it's not that dissimilar to what you're used to, but there are going to be some changes. One of the problems I got, especially when I'm doing your tests, is I'm not seeing as much working so I can give you partial credit. And in particular, do you know those questions where you press salt button and you type numbers in? If you just hit the wrong number or you're not doing it right, I won't know, because the only thing I see when I look at your test in WebAssign is nothing 0.234. I don't know if you were 90% right and you just switched a digit somewhere, right? Or you put the male number with the female number, whatever it was, I can't tell. So what you're going to do for me in the day of the final is, whenever you do a salt question, you're going to write down as you're working the numbers that you would be putting in. So I'll give you an example of what I mean, if we can hold off. Now, the reason why I want you to do that is so I can give you partial credit. So if you're if you did most of it right, but you stuck in a 37 where it should have been a 73, you know, something like that, I'll be able to tell that that's all you did. And instead of you just getting 0 out of 20, because I can't see what the heck you did wrong, you should be able to get most of the points. So if you bear with me for a second, I'm trying to find the darn thing. You never find things when you want them. And I want to kind of show you how you would do it in Salt. All right, so. Right, this will work. It should. Come on, load up. Not that one. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Now, I should be able to just go basic. Gotcha. Are you looking at a Salt button right now? Okay, so imagine that you've got a question. Let's just pretend this is one of your questions and you're going to hit Salt, and you'd hit use Salt, right? And you would type in, let's say it's a hypothesis test. You would be, let's say for this question, it was one proportion. So you'd make sure that it was that. And let's say the story was 15 out of 25 people. And it was a hypothesis test that it was meant to be bigger than 5. This guy here is what I would be expecting to see, right? So you would tell me one sample proportion. I'm writing this down, but you'll see it in a second. One sample proportion, number of successes, 15, number of trials, 25, and then you do 0.5 and greater than. So let me show you what that would look like. So you've got your story, you hit Salt, all the numbers that you would be using in your Salt question. What I want you to do is show me them, right? And you'll get the answer and you'll type it into WebAssign, and the WebAssign will grade it and all the other stuff will work. But the good news is that if you screw up, and I don't know how you could screw up, but you know, there's different ways. Suppose you accidentally put 0.05 here, right? Wouldn't that give you a different answer, right? For example, I will be able to look at that and I'll be able to say, okay, it was one sample, correct thing. That's right, that's right. Oops, I see what they did wrong. That's going to lose you 2 points, not 20 points. Because essentially, haven't you done the entire process, but you know, in the nerves of the exam, you hit a 0 more than you wanted to. And so I can't stress this enough. If I can see Salt questions and I can see the numbers that you're using in Salt, that is going to help me a lot in getting you the points. And I really do want to give you every opportunity to show me you know what you're doing. Because normally, if you do that in Salt, doesn't it just, it's just wrong, right? I don't know why it's wrong. I just know that the number you got was not the right number, because I can't get into Salt to see what you typed. WebAssign doesn't allow me to see what you typed. It only allows me to see what the answers that you wrote down are. Now, if you choose not to do that, then you're risking, but that's your choice. I suggest strongly that you do that. Now, there is another change to the way your test is going to work. This one's pretty minor, I think. It's going to be on Canvas. Well, not all of it, but section 1 is going to be in Canvas. And section 1 is going to be multiple choice. And so I am going to be putting 20 questions worth 5 points each. And that's going to be 100 points. And the multiple choice questions are just going to have a story and then an A, B, C, D thing. And all you will do is when you tell me you're working, you're going to say question 1 is A, question 2 is C, question 3 is D, right? That's all I will say. I don't want to see working for multiple choice. It's not necessary. So let me show you what that would look like. So if you're wondering, what does multiple choice look like? What's he talking about here? Right. If you hit practice questions with solutions, this one here. Make it a little bit bigger. Right, this is in Canvas, so you can go and look at this to get a practice at it. Here is the question, and then there's one of the 4 answers. Here is your question, and there is one of your 4 answers. And I've given, I think it's 40 questions all together here, right? Let's just pick one at random. Here's one at random. A double-blind experiment is normally done in clinical trials because which one of those 4 is the reason that double-blind is typically used in as many situations as it can be? Which one of them? A, B, C, or D? Okay. It's the best method to make sure that the data collected is unbiased, isn't it? That's essentially it. So you will not get in WebAssign any, do you know the kind of WebAssign questions where they give you a story and you pick 1, 2, 3, 4? The reason I'm not doing that is I don't like half the questions because I argue about what they think the right answer is. So I'm now doing my questions and I know which one's the right answer because I try and make it more obvious which one's the right answer. Have you ever done some of the WebAssign where, yeah, it could be that reason, it could be a convenience sample, but then again, I guess it could be this other reason, and you always end up picking the wrong one, don't you? When you get that. So hopefully when you do these ones, it makes sense. Well, I've got this one here, so let's see what that one says. 37. A researcher wants to find out what doctors' opinion about healthcare system is in the United States. In order to do this, she got a list of every hospital in America. She randomly chose 10 of those hospitals, and then she asked every single doctor in those hospitals their opinion. Now, that's a very, very specific kind of sample. Which one is it? Any gamblers amongst us? You have a 1 in 4 chance, which by the way is what you should do in a multiple choice. If you don't know the answer, guess one and move on. Okay, I'll take a guess. Which one is it?
Systematic.
Nope, but could have been. Could have been.
In the chat, I believe Ariel said D, cluster.
And Ariel is nailed it. It is cluster. Now, can you see that that's just an example of a piece of information that we did a way back in the day? And if you go look at your notes, won't you find out that actually I think I used a story not unlike that to describe what a cluster sample was like, right? So your preparation for this test is over 10 weeks, and you have to be you have to be as prepared as you can. Because can you imagine if you haven't written down somewhere all the different kinds of sampling and the names that we give to them, won't that question that we just talked about not be possible? Because you can't remember what a cluster sample was about, and you choose one of the others. Now, you have 20 questions worth 5 points each. And these are all going to be in Canvas. And then you're going to have more familiar now, your WebAssign. And it's going to be called, well, I'm pretty sure I'll call it the final exam. And it's going to have 10 questions in it. And they're going to be worth 20 points each. And that's the other 200 points. Now, these are the questions that are going to have things like salt in them. So remember what I said, try and show me everything that you write down in salt when you do a salt question. Some of these questions, don't you just do it by hand, right? You write down the formula, you plug in the numbers, you give me answer. If that's the situation, will you again make sure that you show me the working? Don't just say, well, I did it all in the calculator and the answer's 42, because if you hit buttons in the calculator, couldn't you accidentally hit the wrong buttons? So pretend that we got a question and the question asked you for the standard error of the difference between two samples. And the information that you got was something like this. I guess I'll put it over here. So you would be getting those numbers, right? First thing you're going to have to do and show me in your working is what is the right formula for this story? How do you get the standard error for this story? Okay, I'll start it for you. Big ugly square root.
Square root of S1 squared, or sorry, square root S1 squared over N1 plus S2 squared over N2.
Now, even if you got the question wrong, if I saw that, you're already getting 3 points because that's the right formula to use. Now, the next line of working, even although you're going to type this into the, even although you're going to type it into the calculator, the next line of working should be that. And if I see that, you're going to get another 3 points. Would you agree? Correct formula, numbers in the right place. And then you do all the button pressing, and I'm not going to do this because it takes too long, but can we pretend it's 1.75 just for argument's sake? That's where the other 4 points would end up. So that would be 10 points there. Can you see that you can get 6 out of 10 even if you get the wrong answer? If all you do is type in the wrong answer, and I don't see any working for it, can you see the problem I've got? I can't give you any partial credit because I don't know what formula you were using. I don't know what numbers you were using in your formula. All I know is that WebAssign, you typed that into WebAssign and WebAssign tells me that it should have been that number. I'm stuck. What's that phrase? I think I'm flogging a dead horse here, but I am saying it as often as I can because it's so frustrating when I see someone's answer and I kind of know that that person 9 times out of 10 will get that right. But today was the one time that they didn't, and I can't see what they did because they never showed me any working. And it's easy to do, isn't it? Because if you see a really easy question, are you going to say, yeah, I could do that one standing on my head? And isn't that probably the one you're going to screw up? And who knows what? You type in 2.0 squared, right? You type in some in your calculator that you would normally never do. But, you know, exams do things to people. So 20 multiple choice, 100 points. Multiple choice questions should be like a minute to do. You should just look at them and say, yeah, it's C, or yes, it's D, right? Most of the time, that. If there's any questions that involve number crunching, it should be pretty quick as well. If it takes you more than 5 minutes, it's not, you're doing it wrong. So pick C and guess and move on. I do not want to see any working for the multiple choice. All I will see is 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, right? Whatever it happens to be. Now, let's pause for a minute because I've given you a lot of stuff to kind of, you know, absorb. Any questions? you feel you know what's happening? Okay, let's continue. All of the Canvas multiple choice questions are in chronological order. That means the first question will be a way back in week 1. I might ask you, is this categorical data, right? Whatever it is, that's question 1. And the last question that you're going to do will be from this week. So question 20 will be on this week's work. Chronological order, right? In section 2, the 10 questions in section 2 will be the same. Question 1 is like week 1, and question 10 is like week 10. Where else shall I go? Make sure you have really, really good notes and that they're organized in an easy to get form. If you just have a big pile of papers and you have to search through each time, and it takes you about 5 minutes to find the piece of paper that you're looking for, that is going to add up and you're going to run out of time. You won't be able to finish the final. You are allowed to have anything that's physically written down. So make sure you do good notes. Organize them, and I would probably organize them, me personally, according to the chapters. So here's my notes from chapter 1. This is my notes for, well, it'll be chapter 1, but my first chapter. And here's notes for chapter 13. That would be one way I would organize it. I have in that list a practice final, and the questions that come later, if you want to, why don't you try and do some of them? And the minute you say, I don't know how to do that question, that would be a good topic for you to revise. Or I can't remember the formula. Wouldn't that be a good formula to write down? Right. So those are the kind of things that you might want to do to try and make your life easier. Other suggestions. Sometimes you're going to do a question and you don't know the answer. Rather than spend 20 minutes staring at it, thinking if I stare at it long enough, a moment of inspiration will come and I'll realize how to do it. Do you know that 20 minutes would be better spent going on to the next question and doing that? And then when you're finished, you can then go back to the couple of questions that didn't make sense to you. And very often, they actually end up making sense because you're part of your brain subconsciously still working on it. Or maybe a later question makes you think, oh yes, it's a confidence interval question. Yeah, I remember it now. That kind of thing. Any more questions?
There's a question in the chat, Professor.
Can you read the, I don't actually get to see the chart using, so could you read it to me?
What day is the final?
And I am looking right now to make sure I don't tell you the wrong date. Our final is going to be on Wednesday, the 8th of December, and it will be from 12 to 3, right? When you turn up for the final, the only thing that you will see in Canvas is the multiple choice questions. And that assignment where you upload your working. And the third and last thing you'll see is a Zoom link so I can see you. Right? And when you go to WebAssign to get the second part of the test, so I would do the Canvas one first, and once that's done, you can move on and do the WebAssign. That would be probably the way I would do it anyway. The WebAssign 10 questions will be there. Obviously, there's working attached to that as well. And you're done. Nothing in WebAssign will be viewable. So the only thing you'll see in WebAssign is one assignment called Final Exam. And so everything will disappear probably Tuesday night. Any other questions? Okay, Monday is a class day, but it's a special class day. I call it an open day. over the weekend, you're going to be revising them, and you don't really know what you don't know until you've started revising, and then you suddenly realize that maybe you don't know how to do confidence intervals. You thought you did, but now you know you're not 100% sure. What you can do is you turn up on Monday and you ask me to go over some confidence intervals. And if you're happy with that, you can just leave again and go back to your study. You don't need to hang about for the whole day. You might just turn up and listen to everybody else's stuff for the whole hour, and that's fine. Or you might choose to use that time to just practice for the final. I want you to use your time, that makes most sense to you. So you will get attendance for Monday, right? You'll be given the attendance whether you turn up or not, but that's kind of how it's going to work out. After Monday, there are no more classes, and there won't be office hours either, except on Monday, because I'll be supervising exams. I won't be free, or I'll be grading exams and I won't be free. Since your exam is on a Wednesday, you will probably be able to see your final grade in CTC Link by Friday. That will be my goal, to get everything graded and put away. And you hopefully will see what your grade is there. Is there something you want to know that I haven't told you yet? Because I try to think of what I've missed, because I know I do miss things. Okay, now, as I said, your time is very valuable, and I don't want to just have you hanging about staring at me if I'm not using, that time wisely. So I am going to hang about for the next 15 minutes, and I'll answer anybody's homework question, or maybe you just want to ask me a question and it's not in front of the class. So say your last name and bye-bye if that's it. And if it's not, I'm here and I'll waiting to hear what you want to ask me. Don, the wee fella should be saying bye-bye. How come I can't see him? Oh, there he is. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. No?
Bye-bye.
There we go. Oh, there we go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That was cute. Okay, who wants to start? Who's got the homework question or whatever it is that they want to ask me?
I have a homework question. I don't
Go
know
for it.
here. For the chapter 13, the dual one, number 7, I can't figure out what the probability of the difference, what they're asking for.
Okay, so hypothesis difference in two means. Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Excuse me. Let me load up your question, Lauren. That way, it'll be make more sense. Why can't I see your name? There we go. You haven't done this section yet,
I've done it.
have you? I'm looking at the wrong place then. Let me figure out what the heck I'm looking at. Hypothesis test for the difference in two means. Is that the one? Yes?
Yes.
Chapter 13. So I'm clicking on chapter 13. You are in my 12 p.m. class, and okay, this is a little bit different from what I saw the first time. Try to find your second name here. Okay, yeah. I gotcha. Now question 13. Wait a minute. Oh, shooting space. It only has 11 questions. Oh, it's from chapter 13. What
Chapter
question is it?
13. Number
What question?
7.
Number 7. Okay. Okay, let me show you their answer and then try and explain why they picked what they did. So you set it up correctly. Oh, can you see the solution? This is yours.
Yes.
You set it up correctly. You did all this stuff bang on. You got a p-value, which is really good. And then it says, if the population mean body temperatures are the same, correct? For
Yes.
females compared to males, the probability of the observed difference greater than this number or less than that number in samples this size is the p-value. So where on earth did they get the 0.23? Oh, of course. This is a two-tailed test, isn't it?
Yes.
So you've got a plus on one side and a negative on the other side. So plus 0.293, negative 0.293. If it's a one-tailed test, won't you only get bigger than this number? If it's a greater than, if it's less than this number. But when it's a two-tailed test, aren't there two possibilities? It could be over here or it could be over here. Now, in the particular example you've got, it's pretty clear that the number was the positive one, isn't it? You can see that difference. But if you switch the places round, wouldn't you get a negative number the same?
Okay.
So,
That's why I didn't make-
it's that guy. Now that should have been one of the choices from the doc down, but I don't get that.
I thought it
Professor?
was between negative 0.293 because that was an option and 0.293. I thought it was that one, not this other greater than or less, the one that it gave me. So that's why I was really confused.
And that between, if you said it the way I heard it, is the same thing. If you,
But it told me I was
oh
wrong.
no, between is the middle bit.
Oh,
That's why
the tail is not the middle. That's where I got it
the
wrong.
tail's not the middle.
I was going to say, it says greater than positive, and you wrote down greater than negative in the answer key.
Oh, she did,
I did. I did it wrong.
but it's also less than the other one, so it's being kind of.
It was just worded really
Awkward.
weird.
It is what that's one of the, well, not for this question because I can't do much with that question, but that's one of the reasons I'm doing all the multiple choice on their own, so I can keep them less weird.
I appreciate that. Yeah, because I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I need to ask for help.
Right.
I just- I'm not-
Okay, any other questions from anyone?
My question was actually in regards to the overall grade that you went over at the beginning.
Sure, what's up?
I keep looking at my report and I'm not
And?
seeing what my overall grade is unless it's supposed to be 100%, which I know is not correct.
Well, you
Because I
got
should
it,
have less than 100%, sadly.
but you get 2.5, no, you don't, you get 5% extra credit, so it might be that after all. Let me find it. I've got your spreadsheet in front of me. Well, I'm
Appreciate
sure
it.
everybody's.
I can't imagine 5% putting me over where I think I should.
Well,
be,
if you
but-
were 95, it would.
Oh, in that case, I'd be at, without that, I'd be at a 96. So maybe it is, because then I'd be
Okay.
101 with it.
All right. So let's look at the Robert. You got 100% participation.
Mhm,
You got an 87 on the test.
sadly.
Wait, right, but when you add that 5% on that's tagged on at the end, you are exactly what that says.
Okay.
So you need to get 50 points to pass out of 300.
So I could bomb the final and I still pass.
Let's not do that, right? Let's just not even think about
I'm
that.
not going to do that. I
Right.
will. I'm going to get 100% on this final because I'm annoyed with my test scores as it is.
Right. So that's your goal, and it'll work out.
That threw me off. I keep forgetting about the extra credit because I don't factor it in whenever
Well,
I'm doing this.
Now it is time to factor in because there's really not much that can happen. There's 1 week of attendance and one last bunch of homeworks.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to move your grade one way or the other much, 1% at most down the way. If you do well, it's still going to just keep it as 100. I can't say it's going to change it anyway up the way, but I mean, if you did really bad in your last homework assignment, it might knock it down 1%.
No,
But that's about it.
that's unlikely to happen. Out of curiosity, is there another statistics class aside from this? I know there's business statistics, but is there?
No, we only do intro.
Okay.
That's all that we cover.
Just wanted to make sure.
Gotcha.
Because I'm looking at the quarter after that, because I might either take another statistics class or Calc 1 after winter quarter, so spring quarter.
Gotcha.
All right, well, thank you very much, Professor. I will see you on Monday.
See you Monday. Lauren or Ariel, you got any more homework questions or whatever?
I had one about the final grade. So I have
Uh-huh.
a 97. How do I calculate that one correctly?
Okay, so you've got 97 right now?
Yes.
Right, I'm going to zoom over to the white screen and I'll go through the calculations for you. So you take your 97 and you multiply it by 7 to get what I call the raw score. So 97 times 7 comes out as 679. That's your raw score. Now to pass the class, which is a 2.0, you need to increase that to 750. Well, if you take that away from that, you get 71 points. So you need to get 71 out of 300 in the final to pass.
Okay. What?
Now, if you want a 3.0, then you need to get to 850, which is 171 out of 300 is what you would need to do to get that grade. And if you're hoping to get a 4.0, you need 950 points, and that is 271. So there are the kind of markers on the road from start to finish that you would need in order to get a 2.0, a 3.0, or a 4.0.
Okay. Okay, I understand that a little bit better. I did my math wrong. Oops.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ariel, do you? I guess you have to do it by chat, so I'm going to see if Ariel has it. Okay, so Ariel, you have a question in one of the final prep question 4s. The 50th percentile of a population is the same as the median. And is that correct? And your answer is that the 50th percentile is the median. You are correct. Do you have any other questions, Ariel? I don't know if you're still here. Oh, thank you. The terms that we have are kind of all over the place. There's not really one video. I mean, if you've got time, you might want to look through some of the earlier stuff, because there's a lot of definitions and terms there, you know, sample types and data types. But there are terms in almost every topic, you know, even what we've done this last week, weren't there terms like we'll try to think of one right now. Well, that's more a formula, but there were terms like a type 1 error and a type 2 error. We did those things. Or there might be rejecting the null hypothesis is the same thing as accepting the alternate hypothesis. So I guess those could be under terms. But the early ones have got most of the terms, the early chapters, week 1, 2, 3. And then after that, it's really just looking through homework and seeing questions where they ask you things like, what does this mean? Well, you have a fun weekend as best you can, Ariel, and I will see you on Monday, hopefully. And you will probably have a question for me then, because you'll have had time to find out what you know or don't know. Okay, so bye-bye.